Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. I want to welcome all of you, the Pewter people, to a Victory Monday. It is the first time in 43 days. 43 days. It has been since we are celebrating a Victory Monday, and Shaggy could not have said it any better. Get your Celsius. It's Victory Monday. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place at PewterReport.com, SR Scott Reynolds. Scott, it feels good.
Celsius.
Yep. I got my Celsius as well.
There we
Rocking
go.
A little sparkling orange pomegranate today. I mean, the vibes are high. The team won. Things are better. We'll talk more about the game. We'll talk a little bit about the upcoming opponent with the 49ers. We have Todd Bowles today for our usual Monday press conference. And a nice surprise. We didn't make a scene, but we got Jamel Dean.
That's right.
Which was a surprise because, typically we usually just get Todd, and then they were like, oh, yeah, Jamel Dean's coming out. I was like, all right,
yeah,
cool.
That's nice. Yeah. Very cool.
So,
so Victory Monday, typically what that means is the players have the day off, right? But that's not the case today at One Buccaneer Place, the Advent Health Training Center. It's never the case here at Pewter Report. We're always working on a Monday to give you, Pewter people, the content that you want on PewterReport.com and the podcast that you need, which is our Monday podcast. And you know what that means? At 4:20, we do this little cool thing called Roll Call, where we find out exactly where you, the Pewter people, are listening and watching from. And it's so cool because it's not just you Floridians around the Tampa Bay area or across the state. It's not just you Americans that are watching across the fruited plain, but it's also our international fans, which we love too, from all over this world that tune in live for the podcast. And we appreciate everyone who can't tune in live either. If you're watching this or listening to this podcast in its archived form, thank you very much for your views, for your listens. We greatly appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe. Hit the notifications when you do too, because that way, if we go live or have any other new content on Pewter Report TV, which is our YouTube channel, you guys know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And great point, Scott, about those that aren't able to watch live, because we do understand we do the show at 4:00 typically. Not everyone's able to view in right when we get going. So if you want to put in the comments, on our YouTube channel after we're done where you're watching from as well, I'll make sure that we go in and like every single comment
absolutely.
for the location. So we really appreciate you guys. Love the Pewter people. So we'll do roll call in a little bit in 4:20. Again, a double whammy, a good double whammy of Victory Monday and roll call, because Mondays typically suck, but not when we're doing roll call. Anyway, thank you to Paul, aka Florida Dreamhouse, for the $2 super chat, who says, Victory Monday. Let me hear you, crew. LFG. Yeah, I mean, everyone's in a good mood. I think Todd Bowles was in a better mood today. The Trask fans are probably in a good mood because he got a snap in yesterday's game in victory formation. So thanks, Paul, for another $2 super chat, who says, congrats to the Traskaholics. Trask took a snap. He did. I even wrote about it with the snap count today, which I do every week. I just thought it was a little fun thing. You could add him to the list of people that took a snap on offense. So
we appreciate this comment here from Wade Butler. Hello, Pewter Report. Y'all the best. So
thank you, Wade.
Wade.
Yeah, Wade, you're in the comments all the time. So definitely appreciate your contributions to the show with constantly commenting and all that stuff. I love this comment from the Kakareka that says, need a pewter themed Celsius pewter vibe. I wouldn't mind like a pewter can as well, like the pewter jerseys that the Bucs have.
I agree. I wonder what the flavor would be though. Like what does pewter taste like, right? I mean, like I'm rocking the Oasis vibe here, right? And the Oasis vibe is sparkly, prickly pear, lime, and it's great because it's got a great balance of that lime flavor, a little tart, but it's also got a little bit of sweet to it with the prickly pear. I don't know what pewter would taste like though, Matt. Do you? Like what?
No, I'd have to marinate on this one. Just a little bit.
But it's a good idea. Good suggestion though. We love that.
Very much so. And thank you to Eric Moreno for this $2 super chat, who says, you guys think Carlton Davis plays Sunday? Interesting question and a good question. Very important for the Buccaneers. Carlton's missed a couple of games now.
Yeah.
With a foot injury, not in a row. He did earlier in the season, but he
Right.
And I was actually very surprised by that because we spoke to Carlton during the week. Obviously, he did not play well against the Texans. And typically, if a guy is injured or he pops up on the injury report, they're not always made available in the locker room. But it was so egregious how bad Carlton played that, again, we gave him all the credit for standing up to face the music. It remains to be seen. We'll find out more on Wednesday and Thursday, and of course Friday, which is the big indicator. But I don't know, the way Zion McCollum plays, I don't think there's necessarily a rush to get Carlton Davis back. And I do think Carlton will play better, especially if they're playing more man-to-man, which Jamel Dean spoke about today a little bit, how much he enjoyed that. But I don't think there's any rush. And it's so funny with Zion McCollum because, like, 1 week he'll play 100% of the snaps. The next week he won't get a snap on defense, and that's just the life of a backup cornerback. But, yeah, I feel pretty confident with Zion if he has to play big reps because he had to do it last season. He struggled, but he was a rookie. This year he's made major improvements, major strides. And I think all of this starting experience, whether it's been for Jamel Dean, whether it's been for Carlton Davis, has been nothing but great for him, just from a learning standpoint. And especially in a couple seasons when Carlton's contract is up and Jamel's contract is up, you feel pretty good about Zion McCollum taking the reins as a future starting cornerback.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because the Pro Football Focus grades, they come out around noon o'clock, typically for a 1 o'clock game the previous day, and they were not too kind to a couple of guys that I thought played pretty well. Matter of fact, Zion McCollum got a 41.3 grade. He was the third lowest graded Buccaneer defender. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka was the second lowest at 40.7, and Devin White was the lowest at 35.8. And while I didn't think JTS had a great game, I thought Zion did a pretty good job. He only allowed 28 yards on 3 catches, right? And so, like, that's not a bad day at the office.
Right.
Didn't have any penalties, right? Had 1 pass breakup. So, sometimes PFF, I agree with the grade. Sometimes I don't. This is one of those where I think Zion certainly played better. I know that the coaches are thrilled with how he played, and Jamel Dean played as well. And really, the proof is in the pudding in terms of what you're holding the opponent to. And this was a great instance of the pass rush working in concert with the coverage, right?
Yes.
When Will Levis had time to throw, there wasn't too many people that were open, certainly enough to move the sticks and get in the end zone. And then when he didn't have time to throw, that pass rush was just getting there, and the coverage was what it was. So even if there was a guy breaking free on a particular pass play, whether it was D Hop or somebody else on the Titans, Josh Wiley, whoever, it didn't matter because Will Levis was hit 13 times and sacked 4 times, and you can't sit there and just take the template from that game and apply it a week ago to the Houston Texans and expect the same outcome, right? It wouldn't have necessarily translated to, 6 points for the Houston Texans, right? Because different players, different schemes, everything. But one has to wonder what could have been in Houston had they applied more pressure, had they been this aggressive, had they played more man coverage. The outcome might have been the same. It still might have been a loss, but I would bet money that you're not seeing 470 passing yards and 5 touchdowns from C.J. Stroud if that's the case.
And the Texans are showing that they're the real deal. They just beat the Bengals. They just beat the Bengals yesterday. And it is also one of those kind of effects. It's like, well, if they didn't play so bad against the Texans, do the Bucs make those adjustments this week against the Titans? It's one of those chicken and the egg things. And I really like the point that you made, Scott. A lot of times in the NFL, in general terms, we talk about complementary football, and I talk about the offense and the defense playing complementary football. But within that complementary football, I thought the Bucs defense complemented each other, as you said. The great pass rush, all the quarterback hits. DeAndre Hopkins was a non-factor in the game. That's really difficult to do, even though he's getting up there in age. He's still as talented as ever. So really loved how the Bucs played, and thank you to Super Straight Cash for this comment. PR is the best team coverage in football. Bucs should have y'all on scouting team.
Salary.
On scouting team salary.
Yeah.
Hey, we take it. I mean, I was actually just thinking the other day, obviously we have draft season coming up in a little bit. We'll see how this Bucs season goes, but the combine, the Senior Bowl, no one hits Bucs predictions in the draft like Scott Reynolds does with his Bucs best.
Well, it's Pewter Report. I spearhead it, but I mean it's a total team effort, right? In terms of how we kind of collaborate things, and we all go to the Senior Bowl, we all do the interviews at the combine, we kind of figure out from those interviews, right? Because the combine's completely different, right? The Senior Bowl, we actually watch football. At the combine, we're watching the underwear Olympics, but really it's those interviews. We have a feel for what is a Buccaneer? What does a Jason Light draft pick look and sound like? What does a Todd Bowles player look and sound like in terms of their football IQ, of their aggressiveness, their confidence, those types of things. And I think that you package that all together with our film study, and we kind of talk about things as a group. And nobody covers the draft like Pewter Report. That's for sure.
Damn right. Thank you to Ryan Giles for this $4.99 super chat, who says, Devin White looked like his old self yesterday. Is it possible the coaching staff has misused him and the best is yet to come? Scott, I think you hit the nail on the head yesterday when you were just like, listen, Devin White is not good in pass coverage, so don't put him in pass coverage. And that's exactly what Tampa Bay did. They implemented Devin White by blitzing him.
Yeah.
And it worked. Now, I think we'll find out more next week when they play against the 49ers. Is it more an indictment of just the Titans don't have a good offensive line, and Will Levis, obviously, there's more footage on him, more tape, and that was his third career game? Is that more of the story, or is Devin, can he be this consistent blitzer, this consistent linebacker that makes an impact on the game? Next week will definitely tell much more of the story. But this was the Devin White that we all came to know and love in the 2020 season, helping the Bucs win a Super Bowl, and they need that Devin White week in and week out.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll add to that point, Matt, is it seems to me when Devin's going in reverse, when he's dropping in coverage a lot, and they have been spot dropping their linebackers and playing zone coverage quite a bit during these losses here, I think it robs him of some of his effectiveness as an aggressive player. I think he loses some of that edge. I think he's not as aggressive and dialed in as he is playing closer to the line of scrimmage, where he knows he is hitting his gap, whether it's a run blitz, whether it's pressure on the quarterback with a dedicated blitz on a passing down. I think that's where Devin's at his best. And it does make him a little bit of a one-dimensional player. It's not to say that Devin White is a liability in coverage. We've seen him pick off some passes. He had a fantastic postseason in 2020. Yep. It's just that he has not really been able to get better. And I think Todd Bowles, honestly, wants him to be a complete linebacker. He wants to put him in those situations to get the reps, to get the experience, to be a linebacker that's multifaceted. But that just isn't, and we're 5 years into this now, that's not Devin's strength. He is better as a pass rusher than he is in coverage. Look at his interception totals throughout his career. He has 2 interceptions in the regular season. 2. And one of those was in self-defense this year against Jalen Hurts, who threw the ball literally right at him. He had to catch it in self-defense. So the other interception was against the Jaguars in 2019. And there comes a point in time we have to sit there and say, this guy is what he is. And it's not like he can't get better, but he's not going to be a guy that is going to be a playmaker in coverage like he is rushing the passer and attacking. And I mean, he had an opportunity to get on the first drive to catch a pass. It was his pass breakup. He had a chance to pick off a pass against Josh Wiley down there about the 8-yard line and dropped it. So
it's kind of what we talked about the Bucs defense in total, but I think the same message applies to Devin White. Don't try to mask his weaknesses anymore.
Yes.
Just let him do what he does best and, kind of live with the results one way or another.
Yeah. Just to give you a quick little preview, that's going to be talking about in about 2 minutes when we do roll call. So.
All right. Awesome. Great. Yeah, we have that coming up in 2 minutes. A couple more super chats to get to. So let's start with Mark Fisher. Maybe we'll get to Easy the Great after after roll call. But thank you to Mark Fisher, Rev Fish, for the $4.99 super chat. With the rush game, we'd be 6-3. I know Matt says don't, but is it that bad an idea to keep Baker and draft a stud running back in round one? Love the coverage as always. Thank you very much, Mark, for the comment. You know, Baker has been perfectly fine for a $4 million quarterback this season, and he's played better the last 2 weeks. I don't think it's a surprise why they scored 39 points against the Texans and obviously helped the team win in yesterday's game. So we'll see how the season plays out. I'm not like completely against bringing Baker back, but I don't think he's their long-term future at quarterback. If you want to bring him back for a second season and maybe you still draft the quarterback this year and you let him sit on the bench for a season, we've seen that work with other quarterbacks in the past. But drafting a running back in round one, I don't think it's a good idea. I think the Bucs have other places on the roster to address. And again, sure, you can point to the Lions. They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and it's worked pretty well. But the Falcons drafted Bijan Robinson. They've lost 3 in a row, including to the previously 1-win Arizona Cardinals. So drafting a running back, I'd rather them draft a lineman first.
I don't know that this is a first-round running back in this year's draft class either. This is not a great year for running backs. I think the best running backs probably going to be drafted in the second round. So I don't know that's going to be in the offing this year. And I agree with Baker Mayfield. I think we're seeing the best of Baker Mayfield. And I think that the best of Baker Mayfield is probably a 2-touchdown, no interception type quarterback. That's what he's been really the last couple of weeks outside of the bad throw against the Titans. But is that good enough to win a championship with? No. Is it good enough to get to the playoffs with as a wild card? Probably. Yeah, I think he's a better than good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback that I think either you need to have or you have to put a Herculean defense with multiple potential Hall of Famers around him, like the Bucs had with Brad Johnson, right? To really make Baker be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, because by himself, he's not that guy.
Yeah, like I would say, is Baker a top 15 quarterback in the league? He might be right around 15, but
I
he's
think
probably
that's fair.
So I don't know. Can you win a championship with the 15th best quarterback in the league? I don't necessarily know, but what I do know is I always look forward to this part of Monday's podcast. It is time for some roll call. Where you at, Pewter people? We do this every single Monday at 4:20 with the Pewter people. We love our fans so much. We really enjoy interacting with you guys on pretty much a daily basis, or every time that we do the podcast. So what we're going to start doing is Scott is going to go on a rant, talk about the Buccaneers in whatever way, shape, or form he wants to. And in the meantime, if you want to throw your the place where you were watching from in the chats, like right here, we will put it up on the screen where you were watching from, and give a shout out to everybody for tuning in to today's show. So Scott, take it away.
Yeah. Well, I thought that Dave Canales and Todd Bowles did a really good job of complementary football in terms of playing to players' strengths. And we've seen it now from Canales the last couple of weeks. He's using Rachaad White like Alvin Kamara, right? Which is where he's probably not going to have a 100-yard game, probably not going to have a 1,000-yard rushing season, because Kamara's never had a 1,000-yard rushing season, by the way. But he makes Pro Bowls because he ends up with about 700 yards rushing and about 500 yards, 400 yards receiving in a season. And that puts him over, 1,000 yards combined. And I think that's the type of player Rachaad White is. I would have liked to have seen Rachaad get a couple more catches rather than just the 2, but he certainly made his 43-yard screen pass for a touchdown memorable. But when it comes to Bowles, we've been calling for this for weeks now, right? To play different players in certain roles, and we saw Carlton Davis not playing, but Jamel Dean, Zion McCollum, Carlton Davis, these are press man corners that Todd Bowles has inherited. He inherited Carlton Davis, but he had a hand in drafting Jamel Dean, who was a 2019 draft pick, as well as Zion McCollum. These are Todd Bowles corners that play better in man coverage. And it's taken Todd a long time and you see this with some defensive play callers that are head coaches. They're more conservative. They're more risk adverse by nature. And it sounds weird because Todd blitzes a lot, like the most. I shouldn't say the most, but he's up there in the top 5 every year in terms of the amount of blitzes that he sends. So in one hand, he's very aggressive, but on the other hand, he's also very risk adverse, and he's been playing too much zone to hide the weaknesses of his defense, which is the pass coverage abilities of Ryan Neal and Devin White, and not playing to the team's strengths. And I think that they watched film this week of that Texans game as an entire defense, rather than break up into the position groups and watching it individually. They watched it all collectively with Bowles, and Bowles went through every single player. And yes, this was the game plan against the Texans, right? Went through every single player that screwed up one of their assignments and called him out. And he lit a fire under the Bucs defense by doing that. And Devin White had to sit there and hear about it with defensive backs present, with defensive linemen present, and so did Carlton Davis with defensive linemen and linebackers present. And they had a little bit of a come to Jesus meeting. And at the same time, Bowles kind of made the decision, like, I'm going to kind of go for broke, and we're going to start playing these players, and we're going to throw caution to the wind and play more of this attacking style defense. And if we're going down, we're going down swinging. And I thought it was the right approach. And what a huge stark contrast, right, between those two games, Matt, between 39 points and 5 touchdowns and not enough pressure, and CJ Stroud doing everything he wants to do, versus 6 points surrendered, Will Levis under constant barrage of pressure, getting everybody involved, stuffing the run, making Levis and that Titans offense one-dimensional. And I hope that's the template, because the Buccaneers can come out and try to do that same thing against the 49ers, and it may not work, right? They might lose some one-on-ones. Ayuk may smoke Jamel Dean or Zion or Carlton if he's back, and the pass rush might not get to Brock Purdy. JTS might miss a sack, and Purdy ends up throwing a huge touchdown pass. It might not work, but I'd rather go down swinging that way with guns a-blazing than have the clock hit 0 and I still got some bullets in the chamber. And so I hope that there's a sea change now at One Buccaneer Place, and that Todd Bowles looks at this and says, we lost doing it this way, and we won doing it this way. And you know what? If it's not broken, or if it's, what's the saying?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like, keep doing it. And I think Jamel Dean was kind of thinking the exact same way.
Yeah, and you saw it a lot more on the defensive side with the adjustments, again, with the snap count and everything. First of all, they took the training wheels off of Kalijah Kancey. I mean, he played more than any other defensive tackle, 6 most snaps on the defense, and everyone else plays 100% of the time.
Yeah, and he played a lot of defensive end, too. He wasn't even a defensive tackle for a lot of those snaps. I'm just going through the All-22 today, so I haven't logged it all, but I'm going to be doing a story on Kalijah Kancey tomorrow, and my guess is he played probably half the snaps at defensive end for the Buccaneers, and really, helped get more beef up front, because there were plenty of downs where you had Logan Hall, Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey, and either Will Golston or Yaya Diaby, and that's a more stout front four right there for the Bucs.
Yeah, and to that point, Yaya had the second most snaps at outside linebacker after Shaq leading the way, so he had more than JTS. He had more than Anthony Nelson. He obviously rewarded the Bucs with a couple QB hits and a sack. So, and Todd Bowles even said that today, that we might be seeing a little bit more of Yaya week in and week out. And then, of course, the changes in the secondary, no longer committing to Ryan Neal, just playing every single snap on defense. We saw T. Delaney in there. You said yesterday about Christian Izzian, who is the nickel corner, but also playing safety. Yeah. As well, as Wade Butler says, SR for Bucs head coach and Matt for Bucs general manager. I think it'd be better as like an assistant coach, be like the guy that hypes up the crew and everything, and the crowd and the team, obviously. So I think that's more my role. But
I don't want to be a head coach. I'll be the GM or the defensive coordinator. I don't want to be the head coach, though.
By the way, Great turnout again
Yes.
for roll call. Absolutely loved it. You guys were fantastic. So, going to give a couple shout outs real quick. Frank G, watching from Santiago,
Awesome.
Dominican Republic. Love to see that. AJ, watching from Longview, Texas. Bucs fan my entire life in Cowboys
Nice.
territory. I want to know how it went the past couple seasons when the Bucs would start the season against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
sure there's a lot of trash talk in there. Fred Moore, watching from Newark, Delaware. Shout out Chris Godwin. I believe he's from Delaware. Jeremy Lowe, right in our backyard here, Tampa, Florida. Go Bucs. Chris Cole, another Floridian, watching from Bartow, Florida. And I really like this comment from JB, who says, "Happy Victory Monday, listening while grading papers in San Diego, California." I'm sure you're probably already in a great mood because you live in San Diego,
right?
Which is a great spot. But I also got to know, JB, I don't know, like what you're teaching. Maybe it's multiple choice, so you don't have a choice. But if it's like an English, if you're teaching English and it's like an essay,
right?
Are you in a better mood because the Bucs win? Are you going to be a little more open to giving some higher grades to the students? Just very curious. I certainly would want my teacher grading my test after their football team won the day before. So excellent turnout again. Shout out to all you guys in the chat for participating in roll call. Absolutely love it. So yeah, really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate our sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast, which of course is Celsius Energy Drinks. Love Celsius. You heard us talk about all the great flavors that we have, that we've talked about a ton. I'm just drinking the sparkling orange pomegranate right now. You see the cosmic vibe right there. So many great flavors. No sugar, no post-energy drink crash or jitters that you might get with another product out there. So if you need to know where to find a Celsius energy drink, you're in luck. Just go to the Celsius store locator on their website, punch in your address, and do your own little roll call with Celsius, and it'll tell you the closest geographical location where you can find one. It could be a 7-Eleven, health and fitness store, or your bodega. Once you keep going to your bodega and you know that you want more because you love it, start getting it in bulk. You can do that. I'd recommend the variety packs. Variety is the spice of life. Go to Amazon, click on the subscribe and save. You can have it sent to your place of residence whenever you want. You're in charge of it. It could be every week, month, quarterly, yearly. Just make Celsius your number one pick. Celsius, the official sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. We got a couple more super chats to get to, Scott. So I want to start with, because it was right before roll call, and I told you we weren't going to leave you out. Shout out to Easy the Great. Thank you for the $5 super chat, who says, Hainsey is just not very good at center, and Malk looks overwhelmed at right guard. Leverett would surely be an upgrade at center and move Hainsey back to guard. I'll start with Cody Malk.
Yeah.
I mean, he went up against Jeffrey Simmons, who's one of the best tackles in the league, and it very much looked like a lopsided matchup.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily blame Cody Malk. We talked about it before. He's already at a better spot as a rookie starting at guard than Luke Gedeke was last season. You're going to get into some growing pains. I'm very optimistic about the future and potential of Cody Malk. And while the Bucs have had their struggles, especially running the football and on the offensive line at times, I don't think we've reached like Cody Malk is playing so bad that he shouldn't be in there starting. And, he's got to get his reps in, and that's just kind of the nature of having a rookie at any position. There's going to be the ups and downs.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think you and I are both in agreement after watching pretty much all the training camp practices. Nick Leverett's just better as a guard than he is a center, and we saw some snap issues and getting beat off the snap too during the preseason, especially in the run game. So I would only want to see Nick Leverett at center in emergency type basis. Yeah. And I agree with what you said about Malk. They got to play him. He's going to get experience. This is not an Ali Marpet situation where he comes in as a second-round pick, lights it up. This is more like a slow burn, like Alex Kappa. Just got to get better and better week after week, year after year, and he'll eventually, I think, become a really good player. And I think that maybe his ceiling is a little bit higher than Kappa's because he's a better athlete. And one more year, or I should say really his first year in the off-season program, right, rather than having to go to the Senior Bowl, go to the Combine, and meet all these people on the top 30 visits. He just focuses on being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, hits the weight room, and you'll see some huge strides with him like I think you've seen from Gedeke from year 1 to year 2.
Speaking of strides, shout out to Cody Mauch. If you guys go back and watch the touchdown by Rachaad White, obviously White is much faster, but Cody Mauch was the only guy running and sprinting with Rachaad White. He tried to meet him in the end zone. So really appreciate the hustle. JB says, I teach high school history, and yes, I'm letting some grammatical errors slide on these essays today. LOL. That's great, JB. Social studies was actually my best subject in school. So shout out to all the history teachers out there.
Good
and
stuff.
Shout out to Meets McGee for this $5 super chat, who says, Devin is who he is. He's a liability in the pass game and an above average run stopper. This shoulder pad wrangling technique is a bad habit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much better Devin is going to get. We kind of already, discussed that. I just think if you use Devin to what he does best, which is blitzing, which is using his speed, this defense can still be very successful because at the end of the day, you have Levante David to clean everything up.
That's right. Yeah, you do. And listen, and there's a lot of you out there that have kind of had your fill of Devin, Mobbin for Christ 30 says Devin has to get off blocks too. He has issues disengaging, which is another concern. That's exactly right. And that's why he's not going to get re-signed. So I hope for the Bucs' sake and for his sake, he continues to play better and play this effective attacking style of play. And I hope that Bowles continues to deploy him in that manner because it works. But this is his last year in Tampa. He won't be re-signed.
Yeah, so enjoy it while you can.
Yep.
Khalif Young with the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you, Khalif. Says the formula for success is there on offense. They just have to duplicate it each game in some form or another based on who they are playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say their offense is certainly trending in the right direction. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be that pretty. I've already accepted the run game is not going to improve that much. I'm sure they'll sprinkle in a 100-yard rushing game one way or another.
Yeah.
It just takes one big run to really spring it. But we'll see. They're going to continue to keep running the football. If Mike continues, I know with his drop issues, but if Mike continues to get open like he did last game, and you take advantage of the mismatches, which McCreary, they just kept throwing at him every single time, which they should do.
Yeah, he's a small guy.
Again, this offense, you score 20, 21 points a game, they're still going to win a lot of their games. As bad as the Bucs defense was, they've kept them in all the other games this season. So get back to that formula. Obviously, you'd want the Bucs to win 40-0 every single game, but
sure, nothing wrong with points. But
nothing wrong with points. But
I agree with what DeGreen Flamingo says here. Canales needs 2-3 jet sweeps, the white screen, in white screens a game, basically extensions of the run now. And I agree. I think that Canales is using Rachaad White in that capacity more now because he's better in space on the perimeter than he is running between the tackles in holes that just aren't there, or they close up too quickly. Or sometimes, he or Chase Edmonds or Keyshawn Vaughn don't hit them when they are presented, which is a little maddening, I'm sure. But yes, the jet sweeps, the misdirections, the perimeters, as you mentioned, I thought it was an astute point by you, Matt, that little toss play, right, to Rachaad White. Get a little bit more on the perimeter runs, more off-tackle stuff, I think, because it's just not there in the interior. And I don't think it's going to be there until you replace Robert Hainsey at center. And Hainsey had a bad PFF grade from yesterday's game, and I kind of agree with that. I did not think he held up well. He gave up a sack to Tier Tart, which got Baker Mayfield demolished on one play. And then he goes out there on that screenplay. And yes, he got in the cornerback's sight line and got in the way. And sometimes that's all you need to do as a blocker is just get in the guy's way. But he goes to throw a block, and he actually got lit up by the DB. It wasn't exactly a great look, but you know what? It was enough to get the job done. And really, Trey Palmer had a great block downfield too. Yeah. That sprung Rachaad White. And Rachaad hit the gas, man. Rachaad hit the gas and really turned on the Jets and got into the end zone.
I really wish that we could see a couple more things to the outside, the tosses, the sweeps, and things of that nature. But I do wonder, because Canales said this a couple of weeks ago. He's like, listen, we have multiple months of football. I'm not going to show everything right away. I do wonder, like, if when we get to December,
Yeah.
and there's some more important games, and these divisional games come up, and
Mhm.
again, it seems like a race to who's going to win the divisional games against each other. That will
Right.
probably decide who wins the division. I wonder, like, the next time they play the Falcons and the Saints, if that's where we'll see true mastery and trickery with plays to the outside and things of that nature. Because they sprinkled it in. Chris Godwin threw a pass. They tried some different things.
Yeah.
They do the end arounds. I really do wonder.
Yeah, I agree.
Scott Jacks with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Scott. Says, I mentioned Cody to center at the start of the year. Scott, you shot that down. What about now? He is so quick on his feet. What about next year?
Yeah, that is certainly an option for the team. And I think as it stands right now, there are a couple free agent centers they like. And I think what they don't want to do is assume that Cody Mauch is going to be making a seamless transition to center. Remember, he was a left tackle at North Dakota State, and they like his aggressiveness and they like his intelligence, but you really have to be technically sound to play center, right? You've got to be on time with your double teams. You got to be able to, to post your guy and then get to the second level. And I think that they see some Ryan Jensen traits in Cody Mauch, but it's such a huge gamble to take a guy that's never snapped and put all your eggs in that basket and say, oh, all right, we're either going to have Cody Mauch at center or we're going to have Robert Hainsey at center for one more year, right? And those are the only two options. I think that they're going to try free agency first. If they don't land a center of their choosing, then you possibly could see Cody Mauch be in the mix for center next year, but they're not going to sit there and say, oh, well, he's going to be our center hands down. So he's in the mix, but they're going to look at their options as well.
Also, this offense has a lot of timing and rhythm and stuff to it. That can get thrown off quickly with a high snap or just a poor snap in general. And like you said, do you really want to risk that type of thing?
Yep.
Got a couple super chats starting. You're good. Shout out to Paul again for another super chat. It says, breaking news. I love Celsius. Go Bucs. We love that you love Celsius. We love all of our fans as well, including you, Paul. Thank you so much for the comments and all the kind words as well. Yep. Joel Rican with a $2 super chat says, Tristan Wirfs at running back? When? Go Bucs. All right. So I absolutely we all love watching Tristan Wirfs, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling down the field. I want to live in a world where we see a goal line package. You can either line them up in the backfield or line them up both at tight end. Tristan Wirfs and Vita Vea. Yeah. In the same formation at the goal line. It has to happen. It needs to happen. It would be absolutely fantastic to see. And I asked Todd Bowles, because Baker got asked it yesterday. And I wanted to get Todd's thoughts on it. Just what was he thinking?
Yeah, it was good stuff.
When Tristan Wirfs was running down the field. And this is what Todd had to say about it.
Won the division. And I don't see any teams pulling away that you can't beat. So does this feel very similar in the sense that, this is going to be we could stay in this thing till the end. It could just be a game or two between whoever wins it and who doesn't.
It's the same, but it's different. We feel different because we're a different team. Right. Obviously, the record and everything is the same, but we feel like we'll be in it right to the very end. So we just have to take care of our business and get on the streak. And like you said, November and December football are very important. This is the third quarter for us. If we can do well in the third quarter and set up the fourth quarter, we feel like we can bring it home.
Baker was asked this yesterday, but want to get your thoughts as well. What's going through your mind when Tristan Wirfs picks up the football and starts running down the field?
I was initially thinking, what kind of touchdown dance is he going to do? After that, just make sure he hold on to the football.
Now we need to know what Tristan, if he does score a touchdown in his career, what his touchdown celebration would be. But we can find that out during the week.
I remember Donald Penn had a touchdown catch for the Buccaneers. That they threw the ball to him, and of course, remember the Buccaneers tried to throw. Joe Haig had a touchdown in his hands in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
So maybe that's coming at some point in time. I'll have to ask Dave Canales about that if he has any Tristan Wirfs touchdown packages in there, whether it's as a running back or catching a touchdown pass as Vita Vea did against the Falcons a long time ago.
And of course, Warren Sapp had a couple of
yeah.
touchdowns as well. He had a fun little celebration when he would score. I don't recall. I was at the game when Vita scored. I don't recall Vita doing like a big celebration or anything. But
Right.
anyway, yeah.
Yep.
We love seeing big guys score.
Yeah. Young says the Buck. SR, any chance we get the story behind the stories after you decide to hang them up? Bucs fans know where to get their news. Love to know the full story of how you got Pewter Report to this level. Well, it's, I've been the constant and the mainstay really since all the way back in 1995 when I walked in the door with Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks, so I'm old. But really what it's been is it's been a collaboration, right? There's just so many people that have played a part in this. One of the first names that comes to mind is no longer with us, Mark Cook, who has been a right-hand man for, a decade. He was literally the first guy that I kind of met in the media back in 1994 when I did an internship with Buccaneer magazine. Got to know Mark a little bit. Then we worked together for a little bit, and then he did radio, and then we hired him full-time. And Mark in turn got this intern named Matt Matera at the University of Tampa, right?
Yeah.
And there's been so many Pewter reporters, and Jenna Lane worked for us. Trevor Sikkema, John Ledyard, and they're on doing different things now. But they're still part of the Pewter Report alumni, the Pewter Report family. Matt's been a mainstay with us. Yeah, exactly. It's not me. It's the enterprise. It's Pewter Report. I don't have my own Twitter for that reason, because it's, this is a success due to three things. Number one, the people that work for Pewter Report, not just me. Number two, the Pewter people, because we do this for you guys. Without you guys, this doesn't happen. This is not a success. And number three, it's just our honesty, our integrity, and the ability to tell the truth. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever. But it just, we don't want to be cheerleaders for this team. We don't want to be negative Nancy's. Sorry, Nancy. We just want to call like we see it. And I think that you guys appreciate the honesty and our honest opinions, our honest analysis. And that's why you guys see our hard work that we put in, not just during football season, but nobody covers the off season like Pewter Report. We're at the Senior Bowl. We're at the Combine.
Yep. When
it was here in St. Pete, we're at the East-West Shrine game.
We were. Yeah.
We tackled the draft and free agency. We have the trust of the organization in terms of our contacts in the front office, the coaching staff, and the players, regardless of who is the general manager or who is the head coach or who the players are, because they come and go. But we do the work, we put in the time, we call it like we see it, we have integrity. And because of that, through regime, we have maintained our excellence in reporting because of that standard. And I think you guys appreciate it. You help spread the word, and we grow. And it's, you guys certainly get a lot of the credit to Pewter people. Couldn't do without you guys.
Yeah, great statement, Scott. Couldn't have said it any better. And football's the best.
It is.
So yeah,
it's fun.
There's not many things better than football. Let's keep it going with the super chats. Meets McGee, thanks for this $5 super chat. Says Sapp did another review last week on Devin. LOL. The refs was bad. The sack that got Key gave up was a defensive hold by Simmons on Gedeke. Gotcha. Yeah, that was a hold on. That was a very odd play with
Jeffrey Simmons.
Jeffrey Simmons and holding Luke Gedeke. I wrote about Warren Sapp calling out Devin White again.
That's right.
I don't know. Maybe Devin got the message. Obviously Warren is a legend and a Bucs legend, Hall of Famer, and is not shy about calling people out by any means.
He loves the Buccaneers too. He loves the Buccaneers, man. If you cut Warren Sapp open, I mean, it's red, but it's also pewter too, man. When he bleeds, he loves this team. Yeah,
and I think Devin probably needs to hear it. He got called out last season against the Ravens. Got called out last week as well. Hey, whether or not he got the message, he did respond much better on Sunday. So maybe that's what the doctor ordered, really.
Yep, exactly. Shaggy with the super chat here, $5. Tristan and Vita. Unstoppable tush push. Yeah. I don't know if Baker Mayfield would like to get pushed from behind by Vita Vea and Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah.
And then have the offensive line in front of him plus the defensive line. That seems like he would become an accordion in that situation and just kind of like crumple like like a tin can.
Yeah. And Baker has been hit kind of hard at times and has crumpled like an accordion. Obviously, that Saints game when he threw the touchdown to Kate Otten really comes to mind. And let's remember, they did run a QB sneak in yesterday's game and was successful with it. It was not a tush push, though, which, again, was interesting because Dave Canales had said a week or two ago that they were working on their own type of tush push, but nonetheless, Baker got the first down, so they didn't need it either way.
Yeah, great comment here from King Cook. What up, Buccaneer Nation? Glad we won yesterday, but there isn't anything I'm excited about. It was the Titans. I want to see these performances against the good teams in this league. Just saying. Yeah, I agree.
True.
You got to win the winnable games, and they've lost a couple winnable games to the Texans and the Falcons, and this is one of those good teams you're talking about right here. In the league coming up in the 49ers, and we'll see how they fare. Last year, 35-7, humbling defeat. If you remember, Donovan Smith had a holding call that negated the touchdown pass from Tom Brady to Mike Evans. And the Buccaneers just were in the downward spiral after that. So we'll see if they make some progress this year, if they keep it close, if they sneak out a win. That would be an incredible Herculean feat, because I don't know if this team has it in it right now to do so, but we'll see, Matt.
I mean, they've had their chances against the Eagles, against the Lions, and came up short. This one will be even tougher because you're going to San Francisco, and they walloped the Bucs last year. So we'll see.
They just destroyed the Jaguars too yesterday, 34-3.
Meat Spaghetti, thanks for the this super chat as well. You're kind of just re-saying your other one about the rest were pretty bad. The sack that Gedeke gave up wasn't on him. Simmons grabbed a hold of his neck collar, which allowed Landry to get the sack. Yeah, I mean, it was a bad play. Should have been called. The worst call by the refs was it was a penalty on Anthony Nelson when Will Levis ran and then slid, and they said that he hit Will Levis, but Will Golston hit Anthony Nelson more than he even hit Will Levis. And they called the penalty on Anthony Nelson. That was just an odd play and a stupid play.
I think that the refs, they've been given such a
refs should be able to get fined.
Yeah, they should be held accountable for bad calls, really. And it just, if anybody is around a quarterback, even when the quarterback becomes a runner, he's not a quarterback anymore. Once he crosses the line of scrimmage, the ball in his hand, he's really no longer a quarterback per se. He doesn't get the pocket protection, right? Where if you go low and all that. To me, I just think that they're ruining the game. The game I grew up with and the game that I love.
I fully agree with you, and it irks me. It makes me so mad when, why are these refs part-timers? The NFL is worth billions and billions of dollars. They make money hand over fist. That's why they're playing these games in Germany and London and all these different spots. But the refs are part-time. Sean Hockley has I don't even know what he has, a construction business or whatever in the offseason that he attends to. No, these refs should be paid full-time so they can focus on making better calls. And I hate that. If you say one bad thing about the ref, then you get fined and you get suspended and all this stuff. That's why I'm kind of happy. JJ Watt, he had a tweet the other day when he was calling about the roughing the passer. And I hope JJ Watt becomes a beacon for the players, since he's retired now and he's obviously a big figure.
I'd like to see former players, right? And just there's some rules though. If you played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you can't call a Steelers game, right? That's some kind of common sense stuff there, right? There's a bunch of other games you can call, but the players play this game. They understand this game, right? We see former players become assistant coaches, coordinators, head coaches, general managers, personnel guys. Why not referees? I'm all in favor of it. I think that they would have a better understanding of what happens out there on the field and what is intentional and what is not, and what is the context of the play. And was this a dirty hit? Was it clean? There's just so many things like when you're lunging at a guy and you're basically in the air, and all of a sudden the quarterback ducks down, right? And if the quarterback didn't duck down, you'd be hitting him in the torso. But because he ducks down, all of a sudden he gets hit in the shoulder and the head area. There's science at play here. There's gravity, there's physics, right? There's force. There's some things that you literally can't control that I don't think should be penalized. Now, if you're launching and you're trying to take somebody out, then decipher that and then throw the flag, right?
I know.
Toss the player, whatever. But I don't know. We could do a whole show on that.
I know it's simple common sense, and they just don't use it. They don't use it half the time, which is really frustrating. There is another football game on tonight. I believe it's Bills versus the Broncos. So if you want to bet on that game, make sure you do it over at mybookie.ag. And obviously, Thanksgiving is right around the corner. And one of the great things about Thanksgiving, besides seeing friends and family, is that you get to watch football as well, even a little bit earlier. I think the first game starts at noon. When the Lions play. But you can skip the arguments with Uncle Dave on Thanksgiving and focus on what really matters: good food, boosted odds, and hitting those Turkey Day parlays. Picture this: not just watching games, but turning every second into a potential win. With MyBookie, you can stream the games and live bet them and turn any game day into a payday. Ready to up your game? Sign up today and make your first deposit with the promo code Pewter, that's PEWTER, for a sweet deposit bonus up to $1,000.
There you go.
Even if you learn from Plant City Math, you know that's a heck of a deal. That's promo code Pewter, PEWTER, to claim your bonus. This isn't just a promo code. It's your secret weapon to get the extra edge on the house. The best part is you don't need to be a sports whiz to win at MyBookie. You can cash in on everything from politics to your favorite shows and then some. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag. Use that promo code Pewter, PEWTER. Check out their online casino as well. If you're into blackjack and cards and poker and all that different stuff, they have that too. So shout out to MyBookie.
It's a great website. I use it every weekend to bet on NFL and college games, and it's just so easy to use, navigate, and I just love it. It's the best in my opinion.
Yeah, I won big yesterday just betting on the Raiders and the under and the Jets team total under. So won a lot of good stuff there. We got another super chat. A couple super chats. Shout out Joel Regan, who says, "Yes, give me Sapp as a ref." I think the only flaw in this is how many former players want to ref. It's a very thankless job.
Yeah. I'm not saying star players. Yeah, I'm saying like the guy who entered the league as an undrafted free agent, hung around the practice squad, for a couple of years, maybe saw some games, and then still loves the game but got a feel for it. Those are the guys I'm talking about.
Thank you to Sean for this $4.99 super chat, who says, "Hey SR, do you have any insight into how folks in the building feel about Jaden Daniels?"
That's my guy right there, man. I love me some Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, you were tweeting about him recently.
He's sensational. I mean, he really is. I liked him last year.
Having a Heisman year, but LSU has lost a couple of times, so you might get lost in the shuffle.
I agree, Matt. There were some people in the building that were hoping he would come out last year. I think he made the right decision staying in. There's no doubt about it. He was a transfer from Arizona State. He was actually Rashad White's quarterback. And I've got a story on that coming out in a little bit. Rashad talking about Jaden Daniels. So they're still friends. They talk weekly. And there would be nothing greater for Rashad. He loves Baker. I'm not throwing any disrespect towards Baker, but if the Bucs did want to go in a different direction at quarterback and they were to draft one and it was Jaden Daniels, Rashad White would be very happy because they are friends and teammates from the Arizona State days. But this guy can do it, man. I wish he had about 20 more pounds on him because he's kind of a rail thin guy, but he's so fast, so decisive, so smart, makes good decisions with the football. He is offense in a bottle. You just open it up and all this offense comes out. So he can hurt teams a lot of ways. And there's a lot of great quarterbacks. This is the year. You don't have to have that top 5 pick. Matt and I've been saying it since before the season started. This is the year of the mega quarterback draft class. Trevor Sickham and I talked about this in an interview. It was in a preseason SR's Fab 5. Still rings true. Probably as many as 10 to 12 quarterbacks drafted before the end of day 2. That's the 3rd round. I think there were 12 drafted last year, including a bunch of day 3 guys. There could be as many as 20 quarterbacks drafted this year. So
that's insane.
It's an insane draft class because you have all of these super seniors, these guys that have the extra COVID year.
Very true. Yeah.
And then you have the juniors on top of it. So really, really good quality of quarterbacks coming out. I think Jaden Daniels may not be one of those top guys. He might be there in the middle of the 1st round. Remember, Josh Allen was coming out of Wyoming. He was the 8th overall pick. What was Patrick Mahomes? 10th, 12th?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a fantastic. It's a great point. It's a great point, and we're also due for a good quarterback class because 2 years
Yes.
ago, like Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback that was taken in the first round, and that was a bad quarterback class. Last year, it was very top heavy for sure, obviously.
Right.
But there were some talent. Obviously, C.J. Stroud is lighting it up, but
Yeah.
outside of that, Anyway, I saw a great comment. Who was it from? Shaggy said Tommy DeVito would be a better ref than a quarterback.
Yeah, well, that's true. Some people aren't cut out, for every type of profession, and we're talking about Tommy DeVito in terms of playing quarterback. But one thing I do know for sure is that Eric Gross is certainly cut out to be a realtor because this guy is the real deal when it comes to being a realtor. Matter of fact, he is the official realtor of Pewter Report. And the reason for that is because of his experience. Folks, if you're looking for a Pro Bowl caliber realtor, this is the guy. And here's the best part about it. He's a Tampa Bay fan. So you can talk, Tampa Bay football with him from day one and have that connection. Because Eric wants to treat his clients like lifelong friendships, not just transactions, right? Because sometimes you go into like a house or a home, and then you end up selling and moving. And he wants to be the guy that you count on in every situation, whether you're buying or selling a home. Go to the website, housesinfla.com, housesinfla.com. You can visit Eric on Facebook and Instagram at the Eric Gross Group page, and give him a call at 513-907-4271. No matter where you are in your home ownership journey, Eric Gross Group will treat you right. They've got a network of over 85,000 agents across the country, so they can help you sell your house if you're moving to the great state of Florida and find that home here. Or if you're leaving the great state of Florida or moving around the state, they can help you on both ends of the transactions, buying and selling. Don't let the stress of buying or selling a home keep you out of the game. The Eric Gross Group is the one you need to turn to, the official realtor of Pewter Report and Houses in FLA. That's the website. Make sure you visit it and check out their inventory.
Shout out Eric Gross Group. Before we end the show, I really like this comment from Narav, who says, Sapp, Ray Lewis, Peyton Manning, Pat McAfee, Marshawn Lynch, J.J. Watt, Tony Romo as the ref crew for the Pro Bowl, or for the pro game.
Oh, my gosh.
At the Pro Bowl. That would actually be kind of funny. You test it out in the flag football Pro Bowl game now.
Yeah.
I also think the Pro Bowl, obviously, they don't even play the game anymore, which I think is kind of better.
Yeah.
Get the linemen more involved. I know, maybe it's because Tristan Wirfs was the only guy that represented the Bucs last year, and they had the stupid, I don't know, American Gladiator thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Get the linemen involved. Let the linemen run routes. I want to see Vita Vea against another D lineman in pass coverage or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun.
Yep, I agree. I appreciate that, Shaggy, hitting that thumbs up. Give us the likes, give us the thumbs up, give us the comments. Whenever you do that for any Pewter Report podcast or any video, whether it's Matt's Pewter Picks and Props, which comes out every Friday, or my Pewter Pulse videos, it helps our algorithm on YouTube and gets us in front of more awesome Pewter people like you. One last comment here from Kells 808. As far as Bowles, the Bucs head coach next year, even if the Bucs win the division and make the playoffs, I addressed that in the new Bucs mailbag, which will be coming out in just moments on pewterreport.com. It's done. So stay tuned for that answer. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a cliffhanger, but I addressed this question specifically in there, and I'll give you the answer.
I like it. A little teaser there. By the way, guys, please make sure you're following us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. We are at Pewter Report, and then our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Have a lot of video from Todd Bowles and Jamel Dean. We didn't even get to it in the show because we've just been having great conversations with everybody. So we'll throw some up. We got some up on our social media already. We'll throw some more on our YouTube as well. So follow us on our YouTube channel at Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Like I said, if you're watching the show not live later on, still feel free to put your location in the comments. We'll make sure that we like it and all that fun stuff.
I've reached out to John Lynch to see if he can come on either Wednesday show or Thursday show. And if he can, we might have to accommodate the time change because he's on the West Coast as the general manager for the 49ers. But what better guy to do a little Bucs 49ers preview than former Bucs legend and Hall of Famer John Lynch. So working on that. Hopefully he can do it. Stay tuned. But we'll certainly have either news about that or we'll have the 4 o'clock show, which is our typical preview show on Wednesday.
Yep. All right, awesome. That's going to do it for us. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you on Wednesday for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.
Out. Happy victory.